Okay, this is video 3 of the Lighthouse project, and this one's going to be called Finding Yourself in the Age of Multiple Selves. Funny title, but I'll explain what that means. So, in today's society, humanity is split between two identities. You have your identity in the physical world. Oh man, is that a hole? Oh, that is so unfortunate. Damn. But you have your physical identity in the real world, you know, who you are, in the real world, and then who you are online. And what I think has happened to people is that people have either collapsed into one or the other. So you'll see people who, after being exposed to the internet or something, they just say, you know what, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not putting myself on there. Or you get people who their entire lives are on the internet, and their physical world is or feels smaller than their digital world. And given how fast this has happened to society, I think it's created a lot of painful adjustment periods and growth troubles. Because this happens so fast to humanity, like the internet and now AI, like it's happened so fast that I think it's outpacing our moral, ethical, and identity-based understandings of who we are. Because when technology and progression of society outpaces our ability to build moral and ethical fundamentals about these technological and societal advancements, that's when we start to run into problems. Because if the technology outpaces the ethical and legal guidelines, then that's how we start to see some crazy things going on, and they're only going to accelerate because technology's not slowing down, so we got to catch up, or at least ground ourselves in a sound moral framework. Now, this dual identity that I think most people have now, they have an online presence and a physical presence, or digital and physical, as I like to call it, is that it creates some disconnect. Like what I see, especially in the youth, is, let's say I'm out at a library or a coffee shop or even a bar. I'll see two people show up. They sit across from each other. And I'd say for about 60 to like 70, that's too high. Maybe 40 to 60% of the time, my phone is here, I can't, but they're across from each other on their phones. So two people literally right in front of each other in the physical world are choosing to instead be in the digital are choosing to be in the digital realm instead. Now, I don't think this is I don't think it's a bad behavior per se. You're gonna find a lot of things that I say on this channel. I like the gray territory between good and bad, harmful, beneficial. It's always the middle ground is where I thrive. I really like the ambiguity and paradoxes and multiple perspectives, things like that. But for a lot of people, it's been really hard to balance their digital identity with their physical identity. And that's why you see people hanging out with each other, sitting not even a foot or a meter from each other, but they would rather be on their phones instead. And I think what's happened here is that we haven't figured out, humanity, I mean, some people have, but as a whole, we haven't figured out how to balance these two identities yet. And I think this is a very important topic for youth, young adults to children. It's very, like, we need to have this conversation about how to balance online and offline, because when we pour too much into the digital realm, it really takes away from our ability to function properly in the physical realm, like with my tree here. And I think one way of doing that, as I've touched on in the last video, is to go outside and touch grass. You sweats, you know, but it's not meant as a bad thing. I just think a lot of people need to get better at balancing the real world, not the real, but the physical world and the digital world. And I think a good place to start with the younger generation is more experience in nature, more time socializing in, physically instead of online, because I will say this, the younger generation's very adept, very, very adept in the digital world. That's how it always goes. The youth will always adapt to the environment the older generations created. It's kind of how society works. I'm sitting on the width part of a 2x4. It's not the most comfortable, but it'll have to do. So I think that's one thing we really need to address, is the balancing between digital and physical presence without sacrificing our ability to communicate with each other in the physical world or our ability to navigate the digital world. And that's the other side, is that as this internet digital realm has advanced, discerning the truth, what's real, especially with AI now being introduced to the digital ecosystem, is I don't know what's real, who, what, it gets crazy. So we also need to get better at navigating the digital world as well. And I've got a concept for this. I'm prototyping an experiment to test this, but I think when it's called triadic resonance. So what happens? It's what happens when humanity, nature, and AI enter not a harmony, but they're able to oscillate within a certain range that is stable. More so than it is now. But anyway, for people struggling with the dual identities that almost everybody has now, like how many people have a LinkedIn or a YouTube, or they watch YouTube, or they're on whatever app, right? Your digital presence is a real thing. And I don't think we've learned how to properly balance it with our physical identities. But yeah, so I think nature would be a great place to start for this. But I also want to say that for the people struggling to, entangle, just ask yourself, who am I without any other influences? No other people's opinions, no likes or dislikes. Like, when you remove all of that, who are you? Sounds like an easy question, but let me tell you, it is not an easy answer. But I think people really need to find out who they really are outside of everything else going on. A good way to do that is to come out and talk to old nature. Spend some time. You know, you came from the natural world, so check it out. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I'll release a whole video on this, on finding the identity that's you outside of what you think of everyone, or what everyone thinks of you. Like, you got to find out who you are outside of that stuff. You know, doesn't matter if it's likes, dislikes, anything. You got to find your center point, your solid foundation outside of all of that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say on the dual identity thing humanity is dealing with right now between our digital and physical presences. And we actually need to get better at both. We need to get better at the physical interactions and navigating on the digital ecosystems. So I don't think this is a bad thing. It's just we're in an adjustment period as a species, because this is a new, like, we're like, whoa, never in human history have I had a Reddit account. Like, if you if you went back even 100 years, people are going to be like, you're talking about a picture of a spider you took in your bathroom with people on the other side of the world? What? Crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. But this is our adjustment period. We're learning how to, I don't think we're going to fail. We're going to figure it out. It's just that we're in a rough transition point. A lot of changes happening really quickly, and we're just trying to figure it out. But that's what this channel's for, is to, you know, there's some, I'm not saying I have all the answers. I definitely don't. I just, you know, I've taken notes on the good and the bad and the ugly of what I've experienced, and I think it could really help people also find their center point in this crazy, fast, chaotic, and so complex and connected world. And that's what I aim to do with this entire video series. So if you got any questions, as always, you can write them on the form in the description. For this video, questions such as, how does my digital presence influence my physical socializing skills? That's a good one. Write that down. Another good one would be, how do I find my real self in between the physical and digital environments I navigate? Ooh, that's another good one. Write that down. So we'll get the conversation going. And yeah, that was video 3 of the Lighthouse project. And I'll talk it to you later.